My dear friends, as we reach the end of this interesting and turbulent and challenging year for the world, I thought we should take a few moments and reflect on what has really been happening in our lives as individuals as well as a collective humanity. And the best way to do this is to ask the question, how would a mystic perceive what is happening today in our own individual lives and on the global stage? How would a mystic perceive what is happening? So let us start with some quick published literature definitions about mysticism. What is mysticism? The first definition I found was that mysticism is popularly known as becoming one with God or the Absolute, but may refer to any kind of ecstasy or altered state of consciousness, which is given a religious or a spiritual meaning. That's one definition. The second one is, it may also refer to the attainment of insight in ultimate or hidden truths, supported by various practices and experiences. The third one is, mysticism is based on the belief that direct knowledge of God, spiritual truth, or ultimate reality can be attained through subjective experience, such as intuition or insight. That's an interesting one. The fourth is that mysticism is a vague speculation, a belief without a sound basis. And then there are other definitions that refer to mystics as being mediums, spirit channels, and psychics, but these are not relevant to our today's conversation. So I would like to propose a definition of my own that I have derived from my own spiritual journey, which I have found to hold pretty true for me. Now, what is my definition? My definition says that mysticism is a refined view of the material world and its events that draws upon our subtle and less frequently used senses, such as intuition, conscious inspiration, premonition, and inner voice, for example. Mysticism enables us to interpret events and experiences in deeper dimensions through conscious awareness and contemplation. And finally, mysticism also embodies a complete belief in the presence of a higher power or intelligence that is with us every moment of our existence. So this is the definition of mysticism that I've derived through my journey. Now, today, we will explore what our world looks like, and we will explore global events through these lenses. So let us start by asking ourselves briefly, why are we here in this world? We are here to gain experience, which is the earth's gift to each one of us. We absorb each experience, learn from it, and then become enlightened through knowledge. And we have discussed this subject in much depth in our webinars, whose videos are available on YouTube. But the bottom line is, we are in this world to gain experience, learn from our experiences, and convert those to knowledge. And knowledge is light. So this is a good starting point from where we can gauge life. Now, my dear friends, when you look at the scriptures of all beliefs of all faiths, and I'm talking general scriptures, each word has countless interpretations. And there's a good reason for that. No one word has a single meaning. You can interpret it in so many different ways. And the reason for that is every moment, every event, and every experience in life is like a word from the scriptures. It brings to us a myriad of meanings and interpretations for us to draw from. Now, most of us look at an event and take in a single meaning and react instantly to it with emotions. This, in my opinion, is an unrefined response to the beautiful messages that life is offering to us. And our unrefined reactions usually close the doors to what I call real learning, which in fact is our very purpose of being here in this world. Now, a mystic, on the other hand, looks at each event with a higher degree of refinement. He or she takes in the experience, ponders it well, and draws messages from it at that moment, and then continues to extract more learning from it through time, through reflection. So if we look at each life event, for example, as a lemon, most of us squeeze this lemon with one single, very soft and quick squeeze and get very little juice out of it. That's what most of us do. A mystic takes all the juice out of the lemon that he or she can. So a mystic's life resembles the character of the words of the scripture, rich in search, experience, and knowledge. So today is a good time for us to take a step back and ask ourselves, how much am I extracting from my life's experiences? And how can I get more? So let us consider switching our approach and using some of the lenses of the mystics. Let us try to look at our world through the eyes of a mystic and explore if we see what they see in the same events that unfold before us. So today I will go through 5 such scenarios. So let's start with the question, what are the mystic's best tools? 1, a conscious awareness of a super intelligent guiding force that is present in every moment. A mystic surrenders to this guiding force and accepts the experience that comes within this spirit. This is how a mystic goes with the flow. So that's the first tool. He or she goes with the flow. 2, mystics have a clear and unfiltered intuition, as well as an inner voice that is heard at all times. They have the absolute patience to absorb and experience fully before reacting. So that's the 4th. And 5th, mystics have the keen capacity to contemplate and reflect on each experience and learn the most from it. So these are the 5 tools of the mystic. And my dear friends, we all have these 5 tools. We use them in different levels of importance or consciousness. But here are the 5 tools. Now, there are more tools, but let's keep these core ones before us for the purposes of today's insight. Now let us look at some real life experiences and view them from our normal eyes and then through the eyes of the mystic. It's a fun exercise. So example 1. Example 1 is about world affairs today, what's consuming us. We all watch killing and brutality inflicted on innocent men, women, and children right before our eyes every day, alongside immense injustice, lying, and theft by nations of power and greed across the globe. So what does our normal, immediate reaction say to all this? Number 1, we cry foul and get very angry, and this burns us at our inner core. 2, some of us speak out and act in protest. 3, others pray for those afflicted, and they pray for the carnage to come to an end. Or the majority of us remain engrossed by a sense of helplessness and fear. We watch, but we feel helpless that we cannot do anything about it. And we fear for them and for us. What does a mystic see in exactly the same situation? All of the above, but the mystic offers no immediate reaction. Secondly, the mystic sees a total breakdown in world order and likens it to a volcano whose lava scorches and burns everything. So a mystic sees a volcano. But while all eyes are focused on the damage of the lava, what is not seen is the fact that volcanic action also brings to the Earth's surface valuable minerals and nutrients, which in the long term creates fertile lands for generations to follow. Some of the most fertile lands in this world are of volcanic origin. Next, the mystic considers the possibility that the harsh heat and gases of the volcano may also trigger evolution of new microorganisms, some of which may end up being highly beneficial in the long run. So he or she accepts that possibility. So the mystic adds these 2 or 3 extra dimensions to the experience, because every major upheaval brings an unstoppable change, and the mystic knows that every major upheaval brings an unstoppable change, and he or she reflects deeply on what this change means. Next, the mystic asks the key question. After looking at all the chaos, what is the real lesson here? I know that when I was growing up, I believed in our world order. I trusted our leaders and respected the moral codes of ethics, fairness, and justice. But in hindsight, even though I accepted all this, I never consciously valued or appreciated them. To me, they were normal aspects of life, which I took for granted as being the norm. I learned about harmony and unity at a personal, community, and global level. And these concepts found a place at the back of my mind. But they never came to the forefront of my conscious thought process. They were always at the back of my mind. Today's events in this world reveal to me that there is no world order left. It is all destroyed, with no credibility left. Justice is non-existent. Unity and harmony have vaporized. Very little I believed in holds true anymore. And therefore, I fully recognize and realize the absence today of these fundamental pillars of my outlook. And I dearly yearn to see them restored for everyone's sake. And as the old adage goes, you never realize the value of something until it is gone. So what is happening before our eyes is bringing back the concepts of unity, harmony, peace, justice, and ethics from the back of our minds to the forefront of our consciousness. This is a revolutionary occurrence. Do not underestimate it. And usually when this happens, we change and transform. And while it may take time and even generations, I believe this is all paving the way for a future civilization of beings that will reject the toxic ways of their predecessors and embrace a healthy and harmonious way forward. So all this chaos and toxicity paves the way for a new awareness and an uplifted human consciousness that would be a future that we could all look forward to. And it comes out of upheavals like this. And I believe that that would be the mystic's observation too. In general, mystics view world events not just as isolated occurrences, but as manifestations of underlying energetic and spiritual beliefs and shifts. So they see under the ground what's going on, and they see these shifts. So this is an additional dimension that they add to how they would react and what they would take in. They see connections between seemingly unrelated events and interpret them as part of a larger, evolving cosmic plan. So, my dear friends, the mystic will factor all these additional dimensions we have just discussed to his or her interpretations and lessons of these experiences. And you can see that whereas most of us may see one bold message, the mystic may see many subtle and seemingly peripheral messages that can change the interpretation of our experiences significantly. So let's be mystics and think of more angles on this subject after today and add them to your list. This brings us to example number 2. Our world is plagued with economic polarization, environmental damage, climate change, and increasing scarcity of resources. So this is no news to us, but this is something that also concerns all of us. The rich are very rich, the poor are very poor, and there's a complete imbalance brought about for countless reasons. So what is our immediate reaction to that? One is to protest against the current status quo because it makes us angry and we lash back. Or we go into high savings mode and hold on to whatever we can. We hold on to it more dearly. Or we become fearful of tomorrow. What if I'm no longer able to afford this beautiful home? Or worse still, what if we end up starving? So there is fear embedded in our reactions. Last week, sadly, a 48-year-old CEO of America's largest health insurance provider got gunned down in cold blood in New York. And as new information keeps coming forth, it appears that there is a lot of overall anger present towards health insurers in general, especially with respect to declined claims and the resulting hardships that are suffered by individuals and families. So it's a sad reality. But let us think about it for a moment. Look at the sheer scale of the reaction. When I looked at that, I was shocked. So drastic, so harsh, that a father of 2 children loses his life and a wife becomes widowed. Now that's what I would call an unrefined reaction. Social media, much to my disgust, was filled with so many posts celebrating this barbarism. The actual problem in reality was not this one man. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that. It was not this one man. It was what appears to be the warped system that he unfortunately had to work within. So these are some examples of our responses when confronted with economic polarization and its fallouts, for example. Now, what does the mystic see here in this scenario of climate change, environmental damage, economic polarization? He or she sees all of the above, but offers no immediate reaction. Secondly, the mystic takes a step back and looks at the laws of nature. Nature provides freely for all. Trees give their fruits, crops feed us all, the sun nourishes all creation, Mother Water quenches all thirsts, and the mystic recognizes that we are all beings of nature. Nature that is generous, giving, and sharing, where resources flow freely. The mystic realizes that the human psyche is going in the opposite direction to nature. Human beings are actually thinking and living in complete disconnection with nature. So the mystic sees that we as a humanity have reached the bottom of the cycle, where nature and humanity are no longer aligned anymore. Now, this has all been predicted in the scriptures. This is no news. And the scriptures relate how the human consciousness, which started from an exalted state in an era of purity, will ultimately degenerate to its lowest level in an era where human nature no longer projects its true natural essence. The mystic is keenly aware of all this, and she also knows that billions of years of Earth's history has proven that nature always prevails over all its creation, no matter how intelligent that creation may be. So the mystic takes the time to contemplate the inevitable change that is coming. He or she sees it underway. She contemplates what nature may do to reverse this damage and restore the balance. She meditates on bringing positive healing to nature and all its creation. And she spreads her positive energy towards the cycle of change that is underway, that it be gentle, but effective and permanent. So you can see the mystic's response is quite deep. So the mystic adds all these deeper dimensions to the experiences of political unrest, economic challenges, climate change, environmental damage, and all their associated harsh consequences. They add all these deeper dimensions to the experience. The mystic sees multiple pictures emerging now and reflects on how these pictures may converge or diverge. And then the mystic may ask the question, what is the lesson here? It seems to be about nature and its laws where resources are concerned, the power of generosity and sharing and gratitude, the river of abundance and its laws of flow, and the need to proactively use the power of democracy and human right to foster change and more, the mystic sees this. And in summary, whilst most people see crises, the mystic might view them as catalysts for spiritual growth and collective transformation, paving the way for a new era of awareness. The mystic may talk about these new visions and spread them and inspire others with seeds of change. Because here, the mystic sees the opportunity for change and focuses on that rather than the endless reasons to lament. And I can share a personal example of the matter of hidden opportunities. We had invented an amazing new product that had the potential to revolutionize environmental cleanup and preservation. Fantastic new development. However, we kept running into obstacle after obstacle in trying to get this product certified in the European Union. And our whole team was very frustrated with the level of bureaucracy because they felt that each step they took forward, the bureaucracy took them 2 steps backwards. So one day I asked the classic question of the mystic, where is the opportunity in this storm of frustration? After deliberating on this question, we refocused our energies towards addressing the key obstacles with scientific solutions rather than frustration and trying to find ways around them. And this led us to discovering an even more powerful breakthrough, which solves a lot more than just environmental issues. It now helps solve global food security issues as well. So it was an amazing blessing that came our way. So shifting the thought process away from our frustration and thinking like the mystic caused everyone's anger towards endless bureaucracy to vaporize, and all energies to be diverted towards solutions where jewels of new scientific discovery awaited us. So I, for one, do believe in the mystic's edict, which is, in every challenge lies new opportunity. In every challenge lies new opportunity. This brings us to the third example. The next major experience our world is engrossed with today is the technological revolution. Now, over the last 50 years, we have gone through a technological revolution that keeps progressing at an ever-increasing pace. Information flow is instantaneous, and we can reach practically every event across the globe via social media. This has brought humanity much closer together with respect to communication and knowing and understanding one another. We know one another a lot more today than we did 50 years ago. And I'm talking about the global human community. Unfortunately, like all things humans touch, this incredible and powerful vehicle who has also been severely abused to manipulate public opinions, to degrade targeted groups and faiths, justify criminality, and also shape our lives in an upwardly spiraling direction with respect to consumerism, waste generation, and environmental damage. We are bombarded with so much that we need to look at and buy and order online. Consumerism has been fueled in a spiraling way. Now, here are some of our common reactions to the technological revolution. 1. Excitement over the new tools that keep coming our way. We are always excited to see them. Or anger and fear towards the way technology is being used for mass-scale manipulation. Third one is worry over our increasing debt, credit card debt, fueled by technology-driven consumerism. We are pushed to buy, consume, waste. Or fourth, loss of physical contact with other human beings. This worries us. Next, immense worry over the sharp increase in mental health issues and suicides, fueled in a noteworthy way by the technological revolution. Next, serious concerns about artificial intelligence and its potentially adverse impacts on the world and on human societies. And you can add more to your list here, but there's a lot about the technological revolution that leaves us very concerned. And that's what we focus on. Now, how does the mystic perceive this technological revolution? What are the lessons and opportunities? Firstly, the mystic sees all of the above that I have just mentioned, but offers no immediate reaction to it. Secondly, the mystic offers deepest gratitude to the Creator, the ever-present guiding force, for the blessing of inspiration upon the human mind to be able to create and conceive new technologies for all important segments of material living. So the mystic remembers to be grateful for that. Or, thirdly, the mystic celebrates the unifying forces in humanity that are being created by the transparency and growth in an understanding of human diversity. And this is a fact. 50 years ago, I didn't understand human diversity anywhere near as I do today, because today we are brought together with this instantaneous communication. And so this is assisted by instantaneous information flow. For the longest time, humanity lived in isolated pockets, and the only awareness people had of their fellow beings in different parts of the world was based on what their governments wanted them to see. So this instantaneous access to one another is certainly a very welcome new development, the mystic would say. The mystic sees an exciting opportunity for human consciousness to grow with shared knowledge and values, with definite growth in universal knowledge and principles that unite us. Now, of course, the mystic does remain very concerned about the abuse of these great new developments, but his or her focus is not stuck on that. The mystic sees all the subtle and hidden opportunities that underlie the technological revolution, while being keenly aware of the subtle warnings and cautions that also surround this revolution. Whilst the mystic sees how people are losing physical individual touch and living more in a virtual world, he or she also recognizes a hidden opportunity for humanity to become more introspective and spiritual as they live in this disconnected physical state. Of course, if given the right knowledge, information, and encouragement, you can turn a negative to a positive. Whilst the mystic sees how people are losing physical individual touch and living more in a virtual world, he or she also recognizes a hidden opportunity for humanity to become more introspective and spiritual as they live in this disconnected physical state. Now, of course, that would happen if they are given the right knowledge, information, and encouragement. So this is a longer-term outcome. While the world first deals with the immediate challenge of the difficult issues of mental health and other adverse outcomes surrounding this phenomenon. The mystic's view of artificial intelligence is a much broader one. The mystic sees AI as an intelligent human creation of systems that can self-learn and also grow in thinking. So we as a humanity can look at AI from a big picture perspective as our own creation that can build its own consciousness, so to speak, based on how we have created it. The mystic sees an opportunity for us all to realize that we too are a highly intelligent creation of a supreme intelligence that crafted us and is ever present with us. So looking at AI as a microcosm of ourselves, the mystic sees an opportunity for us all to focus on seeking the macrocosm of our own creation. Because if we could create AI with our limited intelligence, how intelligent must our Creator be? How can we discover our ever-intelligent Creator? The question arises. And this leads to the core of spirituality. Hence, the mystic also sees great spiritual promise in our AI and the technological revolution. In summary, mystics might interpret the rapid development of AI and the digital world as a synchronicity reflecting humanity's deeper exploration of its consciousness, mirroring the need to balance technological advancement with spiritual growth. So that was the third example. Now we come to the fourth one. And the fourth rests more at us, at our individual levels as well, and collective. And this is personal experiences and their interpretation. So personal experiences each one of us goes through and how we interpret them. And as we discussed at the beginning of the webinar, we are in this world to gain experience, learn from our experiences, and derive knowledge. And knowledge is light. Hence we are here to grow in knowledge and light. Now, based on this premise, each one of us individually goes through cycles of learning. And sometimes the same cycle keeps repeating itself in different forms. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. For example, in my life, one of my big lessons has been that of trust. I have faced the same lessons on trust repeatedly in different forms, different events, through different people. I finish one experience and think, okay, I'm done with this, and then the same problem shows itself in another form. And I've always been a very trusting person by nature. And I keep going through these repeated experiences where my trust keeps getting abused every single time. Then one time I paused and asked myself, what part of the lesson am I not getting here? What am I missing? Why is it keeping on coming to teach me? What is it that the universe is trying to teach me that I'm not getting? Then one day I read a quote, many years later, by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which said, trust in God, but tie your camel. Trust in God, but tie your camel. And this quote opened my eyes to the part of the lesson I was missing. It was the tie your camel part. And that's where I was going wrong. Trust in God, I was okay with that. And once I realized all the subtleties around this phrase, tie your camel has a lot of subtleties. Once I realized what they were and I contemplated them, then I put them into action. And the cycles of abuse of trust stopped in my life. It took my mystical lenses to show me the refined picture that ended these very painful and disappointing cycles. I'm sure you've all encountered such recurring cycles in love, in trust, in relationships, and many aspects of your lives, which I believe are part of the lessons we have chosen to come into this world to learn as souls. And during this short stint on earth, these are part of our objectives. How we interpret events and experiences, individually or collectively as a humanity, has a significant impact on our journeys here on earth. So our interpretations and reactions are extremely important. Now, a mystic would take recurring cycles in his or her life the same way as I did, with trust. However, a mystic has the vision to recognize that recurring cycles in our personal lives are often echoed in global events, which very often project exactly the same message. So, while I was battling with recurring cycles of trust and experiences around trust, globally also on the global stage, countries were going to war, accords were being broken, a lot of chaos was being caused because of a breakdown of trust and abuse of trust. So my cycles here were being mirrored on a global stage. So while I was battling with trust, the news often showed breakdown of relationships between nations due to violations of trust. I didn't see it then, but I do see it now. This brings me to the story, a short story that Cyrus and Luminous, our wise angel friends, once related. And it's quite pertinent to this example. So the story is set in many hundreds of years ago. And it is about a powerful and wealthy family in India who were landlords, and they controlled their lands as mini kingdoms. So here's a powerful family that has a kingdom of its own. This family had only one son, whose name was Raj, who was the heir to his father's position within the palace and within the clan that lived within their kingdom. So he was the heir. When his father dies, Raj, who was in his late 20s, assumes responsibilities of the head of the family and also assumes the role of father to all the inhabitants of their lands. Quite a big responsibility to take on. Now Raj is deeply in love with his childhood sweetheart, and her name is Meena. And he gets married to her after his father passes on. And they live very happily together as a married couple, and they're wonderful parents to the whole community. And they enjoy the love and respect of everyone. However, the problem is that they cannot have any children. And unfortunately, despite all their efforts, they could not have children. And in those days, with limited scientific knowledge, it was always considered the woman's fault, so to speak. They never thought that you cannot have children because something's wrong with the man too, which actually is more frequently the case. So Raj's mother, a woman of great influence, insists that if Meena cannot bear any children, then Raj must marry another woman. Her name's Varsha, to give the family an heir. So she keeps insisting and pushing that he needs another bride. Raj absolutely refuses to give up the love of his life. And he resisted all the pressure that was put on both him and Meena. Cut a long story short, the pressure got so intense that Meena finally urges Raj to marry Varsha. But Raj would not have it. The thought of marrying another bride actually nauseated him. In the end, Meena threatens to leave the palace or leave this world if Raj does not go ahead and marry Varsha and bring an heir to the family. She gives him an ultimatum. Raj sadly gives in to Meena's ultimatum and agrees to the marriage. So by this point in the story, both Raj and Meena have succumbed and surrendered to circumstances. They are both beaten down. But once Raj says he is willing to go into second marriage, The palace is lit up, the celebrations begin, and on the day of the wedding, Meena discovers that she is pregnant. And it was a totally miraculous pregnancy. People didn't see it coming, neither did she. Needless to say, the wedding was stopped, and then they had a son and lived very happily together for the rest of their lives, going from strength to strength and progress to progress. So this was the story of Raj and Meena. Now my first reaction to this story was not positive. I was left with thoughts like, what a terrible set of customs poor Raj and Meena had to abide by, whether they liked it or not. I was angry by the way they had both been treated and questioned the culture and traditions and everything about their social environment. Bottom line, I was not swayed by the happy ending, and I was left feeling quite negatively about the story. I expressed my views to Cyrus and Luminous, and they listened. And then I asked them the question, because this is the part that perplexed me the most. Why did the universe break both their wills and force them into total submission after causing so much pain, only to create a miracle, to put everything back together right again? Why did the universe do this? It seemed to me cruel and pointless. And they responded by sharing the mystic's view with me. They said that firstly, the power of will and adamance were lessons both Raj and Meena had come into this world to learn how to manage and overcome the weaknesses that these two aspects of their being brought. And this was part of their karmic purpose and their karmic compass. Now, the universe, as Raj and Meena were growing up, had presented repeated cycles of hurt and challenge in both their lives, always targeted at adamance and excessively strong will. Both were my way or the highway type of people, Raj and Meena, a trait they kept well disguised. Their intuition and inner voice repeatedly tried to guide them to let it be and go with the flow through different situations and experiences, but they refused to listen and stuck to their guns to no avail. When neither of them were able to learn their recurring lesson, the universe brought them together in marriage and created a huge predicament for them, which challenged their power of will at the core. And once they had surrendered with their body, mind, and soul, the lesson was over. Cyrus and Luminous said, the universe greatly respects love and commitment, and hence restored everything in their lives through the miracle of Meena's pregnancy. And why was the rest of their lives happy and harmonious? And why did everybody thrive under their reign? Because both of them were good and loving beings at the core, and their actions brought immense harmony to every life they touched. Hence they were granted the miracle of an heir. So my dear friends, here we can see how I missed a large part of the lesson by focusing purely on Raj and Meena's misfortunes. And thanks to Cyrus and Luminous, I was shown the refined aspects of the truth that I had completely missed. Now each one of us can look at our lives and see Raj and Meena in one form or another, learning one lesson or another, but we all can see a Raj and Meena in our lives. In addition, if we were to look at our recurring cycles in global events, like the mystics do, we may actually see our lessons today being mirrored on a much larger scale. That is the power of our interconnectivity, the mystics would say. They would tell us that these are signs that reveal to us how individual and collective journeys are intricately linked together. Final example that I will share with you today is that and this is also one of great concern, is that we see a breakdown of religious practices, structures, and beliefs across the globe. And more people are walking away from organized religions. People are abandoning the ways of their parents and forefathers, and this has left many very worried about the void that is growing in humanity as these once important pillars of organized religion are eroding away so rapidly. How do we react to this? Concern? Alarm? The urge to do something to prevent this slide by pushing the younger generations harder towards their religion via PR, more programs and events, and also via applying familial pressure. Many of us pray for change and protection of our ways and the ways of our forefathers. Others argue about the whole process of breakdown of religious structures, with some agreeing with it and others disagreeing. So these are some of our reactions, but I'm sure you can think of more. Now, how does the mystic see this very same process? And at this point, I'd like to share an experience with you, personal experience. Many years ago, I think it was in the early 2000s, we had a very large event in Caracas in Venezuela. And I gave a lecture to a group of people. There were many hundreds. There was a large auditorium full. And at the end of the lecture, this group of youths, quite a few of them, came to the stage and said, "We would like to talk to you." And so, they said, "Everything you have said to us today makes complete sense. But we want you to know that, we've given up on our faith and we walked away from our church." And they came from largely a fairly strict Catholic society. And I asked them the question, I said, "Why did you walk away from something you believed in all your life?" And they said, "Well, the rituals don't make sense to us." I said, "Okay, if they don't make sense to you, that's fine. But what about the essence that the Holy Jesus Christ came here to teach? What is the essence of his teachings? What is the essence of your faith? Do you have any problem with the essence of your faith?" And I related to them 4 or 5 examples, and they go, "No, we believe all this, but we gave up on going to church and we walked away." So I said, "Okay, you walked away from your organized religion, but do not walk away from the essence, because the day you do that, you have a complete void in you." Fortunately, I was able to convince them to go back and practice the way they felt happy, but not give up on what they had grown up with. Now, coming to a mystic, he or she would appreciate all of the above concerns, but not react. Next, the mystic would ask the question, what is the lesson here? And where is the opportunity? The mystic would consider the following possibilities. 1, that the breakdown in organized religious practices is probably an inevitable process of letting go of rigidity in this very important part of human makeup. The mystic sees rigidity. The mystic would consider the possibility that this breakdown may not necessarily result in everlasting spiritual void that most may fear. On the contrary, he accepts the possibility that it may actually awaken a new search that appeals to the broader human intellect. The mystic may suggest that this process may lead people along a path of spirituality that is fluid and embracing of all other beliefs in a more unifying manner. The mystic would recognize that all this would not be a smooth transition. It would be very challenging. Damage will occur. But he also knows that the human intellect has evolved to a level today where it will only accept what appeals to reason. So the mystic would probably be a proponent of spreading this sense of reason, spreading the notion of inner freedom. After all, the mystic may argue, if the Creator is ultimate freedom, How can you discover ultimate freedom in the absence of freedom? He may prefer that as rigidity gives way to flow, and a new generation may emerge that ascribes to spirituality, which gives the mystic much to look forward to. The mystic is most likely to ask, how can I contribute to this transformation? How can I share the knowledge that I have been inspired with to foster this process in a positive way? So these were 5 examples of viewing our world through the eyes of the mystic. Now, we're not for a moment saying one way is right and the other is wrong. This is very important to recognize. No, we're not. We're simply exploring the broader dimensions of each of these examples from where we draw our own conclusions. So I would like to conclude today by briefly sharing some additional aspects of life that the mystics may see, which we may not always notice. We've covered quite a few of them, but here is a couple more. One is the role of individual consciousness. Mystics understand that our individual thoughts, emotions, and intentions ripple out to influence the collective experience. They emphasize the power of focused inner thoughts in shaping the external world. Now, this is something we all do as part of our shift group, where we have meditations across the globe, but the whole objective is through power of thought, we seek to shift human consciousness in a positive direction. For those who are interested in that, look up our YouTube channel. You'll see many global peace meditations. Practice 1 or 2 of them. You might find them actually very peaceful and rewarding. So that's one. Second, with the mystics, recognize signs and synchronicities. What others dismiss as coincidences, mystics perceive as meaningful signs or synchronicities, reflecting guidance from a higher universal intelligence. They interpret these as messages pointing humanity towards alignment and greater awareness. So we don't notice signs and synchronicities, but they notice them very closely. Third, environmental anomalies. A sudden series of natural disasters like earthquakes or floods might just seem to us as random events, but the mystic sees them as messages from the earth, signaling the need for humanity to restore balance with nature and respect the planet's rhythms. And finally, recurring symbols or themes. If a certain symbol, like a phoenix or a rainbow, starts appearing repeatedly in the media, in art, or even in dreams during challenging times, a mystic might interpret this as universal messages of renewal, hope, and transformation. And this brings us to a conclusion of today's webinar. I thank you all for joining us. Stay happy and blessed always, and happy holidays, and have a blessed new year.